Can everyone hear me all right? Okay. Wait. Okay, so can we all hear this? Hello? Okay, so can we all hear this? Okay, so I think the volume's all right. Okay, I'm gonna just give us a run through of what's gonna happen tonight. Essentially, some of the key primaries today, most of the action will be in Missouri, where we have several competitive races. Essentially, for the Senate race here, Josh Hawley, the incumbent, is uncontested. While the Democratic side, it doesn't really matter. Lucas Coons is probably the best candidate for U.S. Senate on the Democratic side, but yeah, this doesn't really matter. And also, we look at some of the other races here. In the governor's race, Republican primary, essentially, we have three candidates here. All three of these candidates are actually endorsed by Donald Trump, which is something I find fascinating. It's a three-way co-endorsement in this race. Now we go to lieutenant governor here. Again, quite a few primaries. The lieutenant governor doesn't matter as much as the governor, obviously. The governor's race, however, we see all three of these candidates are apparently endorsed by Donald Trump. It's a co-endorsement, which means that Trump didn't explicitly say who he supports. Now, going to the attorney general's race, Andrew Bailey is facing a relatively more conservative challenger, Will Scharf. And if you look at the Truth Social post that former President Trump ended up posting up, you will see that he says, quote, Missouri has two highly respected candidates running for important office of attorney general, both the incumbent and someone else, which is the challenger and one of his essentially one of his personal lawyers. This race could definitely this could be interesting. I heard some reports that said that Andrew Bailey is kind of nervous about his prospects in this race. If there's any questions, y'all can just uh, post them in the comments or the live chat, whatever you call it. Anyway, some of the other races here. Another pretty important race is the first district of in the Democratic primary, where Cori Bush is someone who's very progressive. She unseated a 50 a candidate who represented this district for like his essentially that person, their family represented the district for close to 50 years. So this is going to be an interesting primary to see whether Cory Bush, someone who's vehemently progressive, someone who is unapologetically pro-Palestine, will be able to hang on against Wesley Bell and some of the other candidates in this race. Now, there's also some action in Michigan where Hill Harper and Elisa Slotkin are facing up in the Democratic primary of Michigan, and Republicans have their candidates as well. Now, it's probably Elisa Slotkin who's going to win, and Mike Rogers, at least according to polling, is kind of favored. Okay, we have a bunch of primaries. Uh, Again, some of the incumbents are contested, but I don't expect any of them to be in danger. We're probably not going to wait until Washington, where Maria Cantwell in the U.S. Senate race is facing a little bit of a primary, but this is more of an open primary, which means that both parties on both sides are in. Okay. Do you think Republicans can flip and take down Democratic incumbent in Kansas House District since it was redistricted to be more Republican? Interesting question. I've also thought about this before. Probably not, because in 2022, Sharice Davis won by a pretty comfortable margin, right? I think she won by what 7, 8 points, I believe. Yeah, so governor, open primary. Again, all of these races are open primary in Washington. Probably not going to wait that long. But again, open primaries, which means that top two advances, you could technically see two Democrats or two Republicans. More likely, two Democrats in this case, to advance in the race. Okay, so we're the polls I think have closed. Yeah, polls have closed in the state of Missouri, and polls have also closed in the state of Michigan. At least most of the polls have closed. Yeah, Josh Hawley, the incumbent, the projected winner. All of these races that are uncontested. Okay, called. Yeah, we don't have any race. We don't have any votes in yet. So they're the called races are all races that again are races that have already been called. They are all uncontested. Oh, dang! I thought it was much closer. The redistricting did make the district much redder, but Sharice Davids is a good incumbent. Wait, let me search it up. 2022 House. I could be mistaken. 2022 House, and we're just gonna go to the New York Times. Kansas. I could be mistaken, but I think yeah. Sharice Davids won by 12%, so it's not gonna be competitive. Okay, so Missouri. Why don't we have any votes in? Because I thought they were gonna report relatively quickly. At least it was now. Oh yeah, 2020 and 2022, these states took forever. I'm just gonna put that down. Don Bacon could go down this election, even though it was made more Republican. I think Don Bacon would hang on because he's a relatively strong incumbent. And in 2024, I believe that Kamala Harris is not as strong of a candidate for Nebraska's second as Joe Biden. Now, Michigan primary, again, we don't have any results in, which is great. The US Senate race, Elisa Slotkin, a representative, is heavily favored in that race. The Republican primary, Mike Rogers, according to some of the data and some of the pollings, it also suggests that he is favored in this race. Also, I'd just like to give a shout out to some of my members who have joined the EPA team. So thank you all so much. Time to give a shout out to these people who have joined my memberships, as promised. Okay, we have our first results from Oakland County, Michigan. 18% of the vote is in. Elisa Slotkin at an impressive 78%. This is not surprising. Slotkin is heavily favored. Mike Rogers here also heavily favored in his Republican primary in Oakland County, but only 7% of the vote is in. I believe that this is the mail-in ballots that have been counted. I'm not completely sure, but this looks like the mail-in vote. Um, I think it's a mail-in vote because only 7% is in the Republican primary, while 18% is in the Democratic primary, because more Democrats vote by mail than Republicans. Okay, do we have any votes in from Missouri? Nope. I guess we're gonna stick with Michigan. I think in the 2024 Republican primaries in Michigan, Oakland was also the first county to report any ballots. Let's see the primary. Yeah, Haley Stevens is gonna win her Democratic primary. There's no question there. However, I believe Elisa Slotkin. I'm just gonna check the district map. Elisa Slotkin in Michigan. Yeah, Elisa Slotkin, District 7. So there's gonna be someone who replaces Elisa Slotkin in her district. So District 7. Oh, it's uncontested. That's interesting because it's an open seat. Washington, of course, nothing there. Missouri. I think Missouri should have some votes in by now. I do think a Republican might win her district. Yeah, because it was competitive. It was 6 points, and it was with a relatively popular Democratic incumbent. And Republicans didn't really contest that race that much because it was still a district that was leaning blue. Okay, let's go. Um, okay, we have some votes in. Lucas Kuhn, right now in this very rural county, Lucas Kuhn is favored. While we look at the governor's race on the Republican primary side, again, only 8% is in. Mike Cole, he is, I don't know how to pronounce his name, I'm sorry, but he is currently favored with just less than 1% of the estimated vote in. Andrew Bailey is ahead in the Republican primary for Attorney General. However, this race could get remarkably interesting because Will Scharf is someone that I think Trump is probably personally more supportive of Will Scharf than the Republican incumbent. Okay, let's go back to Michigan. We should have some more votes in than this. I think Mike Rogers is heavily favored here, and I also think that Elisa Slotkin is heavily favored in her Republican his Demo- her no her Democratic primary. Sorry. Let's see. Are there any more results? I'm just waiting for more results because I don't. Missouri's only one county is in Missouri. It looks like Lucas Coons, someone who is a relatively strong Democrat, will be the one who wins this Democratic primary, but that's insignificant because this race is obviously not going to go to the Democratic Party. We go to governor. Again, this doesn't matter. We know a Republican's going to win. All three of these candidates, again, John Ashcroft, Bill Eigel, and Mike Kehoe, they were all three of them were actually endorsed by the former president Donald Trump. Lieutenant Governor, I know nothing about this race. I have to be honest. And then for Attorney General, I mean, Andrew Bailey's probably going to hang on if these are the kind of results we're seeing, but I don't really know so far. Okay, StreamYard. Let's go to Michigan. Okay, so again, only 3% in for Michigan US Senate. Is there any vote in from Kansas? Okay, we have some in from Kansas, less than 1%. The second district, the second district could be a little bit yeah, this is not a district that really matters right now. And I think that there's nothing really too crazy or too competitive in the state of Kansas. If you haven't already, please make sure to like the stream so that the stream can be promoted to more people. Anyways, let's go to Missouri. Again, very minimal votes. I'm just waiting for more votes because these votes are definitely not very definitive. In Michigan, we've got a little bit more. Oh, we have some more vote. Livingstone County, only less than 1% is in. Okay, Mike Rogers ahead. Yeah, Lisa Stockton and Mike Rogers are almost guaranteed to win their respective primaries at the Senate level. I'm gonna want 12th district. Yeah, this is not a district that's competitive, so it doesn't matter. It's a district that Democrats are gonna win by like 50 points. There's a couple of important races in the House, though. On the Republican Democratic primary side, we see Lisa Stockton's district, Dan Kidley, also Hillary Schlocken's district are all going to be competitive for this year's election. We have a bit more from Oakland County. I think Rogers has expanded his lead while Slockett's lead has slightly decreased. Again, don't read too much in these early numbers, but Slockett and Harper are definitely no, Slockett and Rogers are definitely heavily favored for this race. Uh, I'm just gonna look at live chat. If there's any questions, make sure to post it in the chat. I'm willing to answer it. No need for super chats. Just post it in the chat and I'm fine. Okay, so some of the other results here. Um, there's not a lot that I can talk about right now because vote reporting is kind of slow. We're at 4% in the Democratic primary, 1% in the Republican primary. I mean, there's not much I could go off there. Republican incumbent in the first district looks like he's hanging on. Only 1%, only 1% of the vote in though. Sharice Davis has essentially won her primary, and then we see Republican primary for District 3. Two candidates, again, I know nothing about them, to be honest. Okay, let's get back with my commentary. Yeah, there's literally nothing to go with so far. We know Slockett's probably going to win. We know Rogers is probably going to win. There's a couple of open primaries here and there. Okay, so 12th District Republican. Haley Stevens is going to win her primary, the 10th District. Yeah, nothing significant, right? We all know this is going to go blue. Yeah. But looks like District 10 is something that is interesting to watch. We have John James, who only won by 0.5%. There's a Democratic primary there to see who will end up challenging him. James is still favored, but it is a district that could be competitive. How is Amash doing? Let's see. I remember seeing that name, but I forgot where. Can you clarify Amash? Yeah, because I don't remember where that name is. Wait, which race is how is Amash doing? Which race is that? Because I forgot about it. I forgot who was which state that was. I'm just looking at random primaries right now. Oh, Justin Amash. Right, I remember seeing that name. Not very well. Mike Rogers was always the favorite in the Michigan race. Yeah, it does look very likely that Mike Rogers will win the Republican primary, and it looks very likely that Elisa Slotkin's gonna win. Nothing's locked and set in stone, but still. Let's see. Yeah, Lucas Coons, if you don't know, ran for the primary, the 2022 U.S. Senate race in the Democratic side and lost the primary. Looks like this time around he's probably gonna win. Lucas Coons. Yeah, Coons is. Oh, we have some first votes from Kansas City, Jackson County, Kansas City, Missouri. We have some of our first votes. Okay, so this is interesting, right? One of the more interesting races, we'll see how the Attorney General race in Missouri goes because of the fact that, you know, essentially Trump endorsed both the incumbent and the challenger. However, I think Trump personally likes the challenger Will Sharf more than the Republican incumbent Andrew Bailey. There were reports that Bailey was very scared of losing his race. There were reports that he was trying to essentially, you know, there were allegations that he was trying to imprison innocent people who were set free because he was scared in the Republican primary. So it's something that could be interesting to watch. Okay, so let's see. Again, not a lot of votes in. Let's just see. Haley Stevens won her primary. Not surprising. The 10th district. Out of these House primaries, the 10th district is probably the most interesting one. Well, we'll just look at this, right? Elisa Slotkin favored against Hill Harper, who I don't know who he is. Hill Harper, an actor on the television show The Good Doctor, and has run to her left. You're not going to see a progressive do well in a state like Michigan. I don't think so. Um. Okay, looks like this race is also competitive, but it doesn't really matter. I don't know why it's taking so long. We're in the stream now for like 20 minutes, and we still have barely any votes in. It's ridiculous how slow the vote reporting is. Let's see. That the Washington district with the Never Trumper incumbent will be interesting. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, there was one of the okay, so let's go to the US House. You mean this district, right? The Washington district with the Never Trumper, Dan Newhouse. The Republican incumbent, he fended off a challenge in 2022 against very pro-Trump candidates. Dan Newhouse, if you don't know, he was someone who voted to impeach the former president. Um, in a very conservative district, he narrowly hung on back in 2022 in the open primary. But because he hung on in 2022, I think he'll hang on this year too. After all, he hung on in a much less favorable environment in 2022, where people were talking about the impeachment, where Trump endorsed a challenger. That challenger came up short. I think probably because some of the Democrats actually voted for Newhouse to save him. Okay, so we still don't have a lot of votes, which is great. Okay, we have our first vote from Ann Arbor. Okay, 1%, that's not a lot. And again, less than 1% of the vote in. Okay, so Lucas Coons, why is it taking so long for them to report ballots? It's ridiculous. It looks like Mike Kehoe in this race will win. I thought John Ashcroft was favored though. Okay. Again, very early so far. It's taking them a ridiculous amount of time to count these votes. It should not be taking this long. It absolutely should not be taking this long. Okay, we have some of these ballot initiatives: increase police funding, accept child care facility property tax. The treasurer looks like there's a competitive race apparently. I mean, a lot of these incumbents are coming in under fire in the state of Missouri, with the only exception being Josh Hawley. How long is it going to take? Like, I honestly think Elisa Slotkin and Mike Rogers are just going to win, and there's really no doubt about it. But we're still going to stream the primary just to make sure. Again, more surprising things have happened before, but Rogers and Slotkin are both heavily favored. Let's see. Are there any votes in? Like anything significant? Again, the more competitive races, they're taking forever. So the Attorney General's race, Republican primary, Andrew Bailey, he is ahead of Will Scharf. In the Republican primary for governor, with less than 1% of the vote in, Mike Kehoe, he is ahead. We go to the state of Michigan. Oh, we have a little bit more vote. Is it from Oakland again? We have a little bit more from Washington and a little bit more from Oakland. Lisa Slotkin's still hanging on to her lead, though it has slightly tightened. Well, if we look at the Republican primary here, Mike Rogers, again, heavily favored in the Republican primary there. Now, Michigan's taking forever to report, especially for these rural counties. Okay, we have a little bit more from the Republican primary too. Mike Rogers still favored, though his lead has came down slightly. Honestly, if I was decision desk, I would have called both of these races now. It does not. It's pretty clear that both Slotkin and Rogers are going to win their primaries. In the general election, though, Slotkin is still favored against Rogers. Probably. We'll have to see a little bit more because I think there's more undecideds before a primary, but after the primary elections, there's going to be fewer undecideds. Okay, there's a bit. Okay, there's a bit of vote in here. That's good news. I love to see the vote coming in. Let's see. I'm waiting for District 1 in Missouri, where there's a competitive race between Cori Bush and Wesley Bell. Essentially, again, Cori Bush is a candidate who's more vehemently pro Palestine and quite apologetic about it. She has a challenger who is also progressive, apparently, but someone who is supported by many, what many of the lobbyists from Israel, essentially. I'm just gonna check New York Times. All the data I'm getting right now is from New York Times. Okay. Don't they have some articles? Okay. Do we have any more votes? Oh, this is the results previously. Okay, so we have a little bit more vote in. The Republican primary for lieutenant governor is very competitive. Looks like. Okay, Josh Ashcroft is doing better in the urban areas. Andrew Bailey is leading against Will Scharf. Okay, so Missouri also has a ballot measure of increasing police funding. This might not pass. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna pass if this very Republican county, Dunklin County, is only 54-46. I'm just gonna pull up the 2020 election results. I'm also just gonna use New York Times. Yeah, so if you pull this one up, this was a county that was like 78% Republican. If it's only 54% for this Missouri amendment, then the amendment is probably gonna fail because we're gonna see areas like Jackson County and we're gonna see areas like St. Louis County vote heavily off in favor of no. Okay, Washington, Danny Heck, um, Daniel House, Gutierrez Perez. Okay, we're gonna look at this. Um, why are they not calling races that are uncontested? Like they should have called these races that are essentially uncontested by now. I don't know what's taking them so long. Lucas Coons is gonna win the primary. I have no doubt about that. This one's interesting though. Okay, we have a bit more vote coming in. Do we have any more from Michigan? I think I haven't checked on Michigan for like 5 minutes now. Okay, we have a little bit more from Eden County. Elisa Slotkin doing well, and Mike Rogers doing well. That's not surprising. I think Eden County is part of the district that Elisa Slotkin is from. I'm just gonna check on that. Yeah, part of her district is from Eden County. So I'm just gonna go to state results. I'm gonna go to Michigan. So yeah, okay. Lisa Slotkin. Yeah, part of her district is Eaton County. So this is not surprising. Elisa Slotkin obviously gonna do better in this part of the state. Okay, we have some more vote in. Where did it come from? Washtenaw? I think it's from Washtenaw. Yeah. Livingstone's still stuck at 1%. Oh, we have a little bit from Wayne County too, but it's quite insignificant. This is about a drop in the ocean compared to what's gonna come after that. So again, if there's any type of questions, be sure to just post it in the chat. Okay, so do we have any votes from Missouri? Okay. Yeah, we don't have a lot of vote right now. I think this is kind of lagging though, to be honest. Um, just gonna have a sip of water. Anyways, Mike Rogers, Elisa Slotkin. I thought we would have more competitive races than this in the state of Michigan. Yeah, I said earlier on today that most of the action tonight will be in Missouri, where there's several competitive races that are competitive in the Republican and Democratic primaries that simply won't be competitive in the general election. I'm waiting for St. Louis to report some votes because I'm interested in District 1 in Missouri. That's one of the races that garnered a lot of attention because what we saw a couple of weeks ago was Jamel Bowman in the state of New York. He was someone who was progressive. He was someone who was pro-Palestine. He lost in his Democratic primary. So it's going to be interesting to see if Cory Bush can hang on in this district or if the Republicans will be able to flip this district from the Democratic Party. I'm just going to go to YouTube Studios. Yeah, we're past 3,200, 3,270 subscribers. So thank you all so much. Also, yeah, Harris selected Tim Walz as her running mate. Honestly, Walz is someone I think he's too progressive to be a good candidate, but whatever. Okay, we have a little bit more vote. Again, there's not a lot of competitive races tonight, so. Also, if you're tuning in, please consider subscribing. Please consider hitting the like button. Those things don't cost you anything. But anyways, let's continue. Because we really don't have that many votes right now. We don't have anything to really analyze. Coons is doing quite well considering he lost the primary back in 2022 against Trudy Bruce Valentine. Okay, so not much to look at right now. We've got scatterings of vote everywhere, but we haven't gotten a concentrated dump of it in Missouri. So these votes, they're initial votes. You can't really read much into them. Okay, Bailey looks like he probably will hang on in the Attorney General's race, but we'll have to see because we need to understand what type of vote is in right now, and it's hard to get accurate information on that. So in Kansas, in Michigan, why is it taking so long for them to count the votes? Like I don't understand. Honestly, these states should just count the early votes early so that we wouldn't be waiting for several hours to just get some votes to report. Some of the votes were cast like a week ago and somehow they're not being reported even. I think they should just count some of the votes earlier. It's ridiculous how long it takes, especially for Michigan, where sometimes it takes like forever to count like just a few votes. I think there should be election reform in that sense. Okay, so where did the vote come from? I I don't know. Like there was a small dump of vote, but I don't know where it came from. I think it probably came from Oakland County again. Like Oakland's one of the fastest counties to report votes in the state of Michigan. It's probably the most important county in the state of Michigan in 2022. The reason I say that, Oakland County is what delivered Joe Biden the state of Michigan back in 2020. Biden did 6 points better than Hillary Clinton, and the county has about 800,000 votes in a presidential election year. And if you times 800,000 by 6 percentage points, you get 48,000 votes. Essentially, Biden netted 48,000 votes in this one single county from Hillary Clinton's margin, and that's pretty impressive. And that's how Joe Biden was able to win the state and flip the state of Michigan from Donald Trump. Okay, we have a bit more vote. We have some votes from Ottawa County, but I think that was not the bulk of the vote. That was okay. We have a little bit more from Oakland again. We're getting a little bit more from the Republican primary, St. Joseph County. Okay, so Mike Rogers isn't doing as well here. Interesting. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how the rural counties will come in. I think the rural counties will come in for Slotkin, but Rogers might do a bit worse in some of the rural counties because we're seeing in Ottawa County, we're seeing in St. Joseph's County, the more rural counties that have so far came in, they're weaker for Rogers. Amash and O'Donnell are doing a bit better. I might be referencing some of the other streams just so that I have a better picture of what's happening. Yeah, so I'm just gonna check what some of the other streamers are saying. So, okay, the Republican primary has tightened significantly for some reason. We have some from Buchanan County. I not significantly, but has tightened a little bit. Anyhow, again, please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel if you. It's completely free and it's something that supports my independent journalism. So make sure to do that if you're interested to watch political content. Because if you're here, you're probably interested in politics, right? Okay, we have a little bit more vote coming in, but it's quite insignificant. I think I had John Ashcroft favored to win this race. Okay, let's check this. Increase police funding. Wait, that's interesting. Kansas City is voting yes. Jackson County is voting yes to increase police funding. That's very unexpected. Yeah, that's very unexpected. I don't get it. I thought these Democratic urban areas would vote no, and the Republican areas are voting yes. Right now, that's not the pattern. But again, it depends on what precincts are reporting. Okay. Why is it taking so long? Like, why is it taking so long? We're more than half an hour in when compared to when the polls closed, and we still don't have a lot of votes. Um, yeah, okay. That's only 2% in. Yeah, exactly. The vote count is pretty slow. We in Missouri, it's like 1% is in. That's a ridiculously small amount. Bailey is ahead. Um, Republican primary. This is really anyone's game right now. Looks like in the more rural areas, Lincoln Ho is doing better, while in the more urban slash suburban areas, David Wassinger is doing better. We'll have to wait a little bit. Like these votes are definitely not definitive, but what it looks like right now is that the governor's race in the state of Missouri on the Democratic side is going to be super competitive. I think if I were the decision desk, I would call it for Elisa Slotkin and Mike Rogers, but because I'm not part of decision desk, I can't do that. Come on, like just please get the votes in. Seriously? I don't want to be here for like 3 hours and we're still gonna be stuck at 30% in. That's not great. It looks like based on trajectory this is going right now, that could very well happen. Like we're more than half an hour after poll closings, and Missouri has produced 1% of their votes. That's crazy. Okay. Again, right? Like they really should speed up the process. I don't know what's taking them so long. Are there any incumbents under fire? Looks like no. Looks like no. Again, this is a competitive primary with Cory Bush, but we don't know yet. Okay, looks like we have a little bit more vote from Missouri, but nothing significant. Coons is supposedly a pretty strong Democrat. Wait, I'm just gonna pull up 2000, 2000 and 2016 Senate. Bear with me right now. Okay. We. Why is it taking so long? Wait. Do we have a little? I think we have a little bit more from Washtenaw. Hmm. Okay, so looks like Rogers is gonna win. It looks like Slockett is gonna win. I have no doubt in that. Hmm. Let's see. Okay, so are there any races coming in? I mean, Kansas is also taking a very long time for some reason. Okay, we have sub votes from the third district in Kansas. Looks like Prince Seth Reddy is probably going to win this race, but the incumbent Sharice Davids is quite popular, so this race would probably still go Democrat, in my opinion. Okay, so I'm interested to see. I'm interested to see Missouri and Michigan come in, but it's taking them just forever. I don't know what's taking them so long. Like seriously? Okay. Yeah. We're just gonna watch the election results come in. Um, okay, we have a little bit from St. Joseph. That doesn't really matter. Okay, we have a bit more. What just came in? Okay, Lapeer County just came in apparently. Yeah, looks like Slock is definitely gonna win. Okay, what just came in again? Like I'm struggling to keep up with all the results that are suddenly just coming in, pretty gradually, but still. Um, a little bit from Lapeer, a little bit from Ottawa, a little bit in from Grand Traverse, but don't read much into these numbers because they're relatively, they're more initial ballots. Okay, Missouri. Um, Andrew Bailey's holding on. Mike Keel, he's holding on by a relatively comfortable margin. Again, I don't see that many interesting results so far. I don't know what's taking them so long. Like we're at 8% in right now. It's seriously taking them way too long. It's honestly pretty exhaustive to just look at these results and realize that there's nothing coming in. We're 40 minutes after poll closings and Missouri's 1% reported. Seriously? Okay. Uh exempt childcare property taxes. Uh okay, I guess. It looks like it's not that partisan based on what's coming in so far. It's pretty 50-50. It's interesting because Jackson County's voting yes on this amendment. I don't expect that to hold though. Missouri's just reporting some very a few ballots here and there. Maria Catwell, Mike Rogers. Again, why is it taking them so long? Just gonna wait for more votes to come in, I guess. I don't really see anything significant though. Okay, well we'll see. We'll see. Um, Sharice Davids. Honestly, it's kind of repetitive now to just repeat what I just said like a couple minutes ago, because there's really not a lot that's coming in. Okay, we have a little bit more coming in. Where was that? I think Benzie County just filled in a little bit of their votes. Oakland came in a bit more. Looks like it looks like both of these candidates are just going to retain their lead. Now, I'm not sure what type of vote is coming in so far. It looks like definitely looks like the blue population centers are coming in first, right? Washington County, Wayne County, these are the core Democratic areas of Michigan, Oakland County as well. Like aren't any noticeable conservative areas that have came in the state of Michigan. We have a few votes from St. Joseph, that's a conservative county. We have a couple from Benzie County, that's a relatively conservative county, but we don't have a lot. Just wait. Just wait. Okay. Michigan. Okay, so I'm just gonna see if there's any comments you want, any questions you want me to answer. Be sure to put it in the chat. I'm fine with that. I don't get why Missouri is still only 1% reported. I really don't. Like, why is it taking them so long? I guess they're not used to handling very competitive elections, but that's no excuse. Okay. Um, I just want a little bit more vote to come in because it's taking them ridiculously long to get the votes in. There's only two counties that are over 20% in the state of Michigan, and they're Oakland County and Washington County, which are both more liberal areas so far. We'll see. Of course, there's nothing in from Washington. Okay, so we have a little bit more from the. Wait, so why do we have more? Okay. Okay, we have a little bit more votes. That's great. Mike Keel, he is ahead right now over Bill Eigel, who is in second, and John Ashcroft, who is in third. Trump endorsed all three of them. Okay, so 2% in right now. Why is it taking St. Louis so long to report? And why is it taking the rural areas in Missouri and Michigan so long to report? Like, they haven't gotten a single vote in so far. Okay, we have a little bit more, it looks like, from Michigan. We have a little bit more in from Washington and a little bit more vote again in from Oakland County. Okay. I don't understand why it's taking them so long, and I think honestly, New York Times can just call both of these races for Mike Roger and Elisa Slotkin. Rogers is up by 60, Slotkin is up by 50, 48. We're just waiting for a little bit more vote to come in. Bailey's up nearly 2-1. Okay, we have a little bit more coming in the Democratic side. Okay. Not much action going on. Okay, we have a little bit more vote coming in. So increased police funding so far, it's a yes. Okay. Oh, I guess it makes sense. It's increasing funding for the Kansas City Police Department. But if it's increasing funding for the Kansas City Department, why is it getting voted on in a statewide office? I'm a bit confused. I guess that's why Kansas City is voting yes. I thought it would be voting no so far. Honestly, though, isn't this something? an amendment that would be decided by Kansas City voters and not the voters of the entire state of Missouri. Secretary of State. I guess there's a competitive race there as well. This map is honestly quite colorful. So far, the leader is Denny Holskins with 2% of the vote in. I think it really depends on which areas are reporting so far. Okay. Uh, Honestly, this night is kind of a boring night. Nothing to really analyze. Okay. Okay, let's see what we have here. Primary Cori Bush. Now, Cori Bush is someone who's very progressive. I don't know if she's gonna hang on, but we really need to see a little bit more vote come in. And so far, that race is at 0% reporting. It's literally stuck at 0% ever since like an hour ago when the polls closed. Missouri was finally starting to report some ballots, and it's slowing down again. Okay, what just came in? Is it Cass that just came in? No, Cass was in a couple of minutes ago. Okay. I'm honestly I'm pretty I'm waiting on District 1 with Cory Bush and Wesley Bell's race. This is a race that determines again whether Democrats are more progressive in terms of supporting Palestine or whether they rather choose a candidate who supports Israel. Again, we saw I'm just going to check the New York primaries. I don't know what I just typed. Okay. Great show. Thank you so much. Yeah, this one. George Latimer, Jamal Bowman. Jamal Bowman was someone who was vehemently progressive, someone who again supported, who essentially was heavily supportive of Palestine, and someone who was very vocal about that. And he lost to George Latimer, who was a Westchester County executive, someone who was more moderate. He was a member of the left wing squad. He lost re-election in the primary by 17.4%. And we're just gonna have to wait to see if Cori Bush meets a similar fate or if she is able to pull out a victory. Okay. So again, why is it taking them so long? It doesn't make sense. After like an hour, we're still not at 10% of the vote in any of the states. I think Kansas is a bit faster, but there's nothing really competitive to look at there. Again, it doesn't look like there's anything competitive in terms of incumbents losing. That hasn't happened yet. Wait, we have 56% of the vote in from Buchanan County, do we? Oh, we have a lot of vote from Buchanan. Anyways, yeah, viewership is going down. I think people realize that there's not much that's coming in. I think some votes will come in sooner or later, but still. I guess it's kind of getting boring for people because there's absolutely nothing coming in right now. Again, if you're still staying here, please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. Thank you all so much. But anyways, I'm just gonna have to wait for more votes because we have like next to nothing. We still have next to nothing in the state of Missouri, and we only have a few votes coming in for Michigan. Honestly, these states should just start counting early votes slash mail-in votes like 2 weeks in advance and not just wait until now to count these votes. Viewership is going down because we don't have anything to talk about, I guess. Yeah, I think viewership for anyone streaming this is going down because no one wants to watch an election where no votes are being tabulated. I mean, votes are being tabulated, but it's way too slow. Okay. Um, hmm. Why do we still not have 10% of the vote in? What? Okay, I guess we have a little bit. Lincoln County's coming in, Buchanan's coming in pretty strong. But some of these areas, they're still stuck at 0%. I'm trying to see what some of the other YouTube channels who are streaming are saying right now. Honestly, not a lot. It looks like I might just have to end the stream if there's no votes coming in whatsoever. I hope that's my last resort, but I'm kind of wasting my hour of time streaming an election where there's no vote coming in. We'll wait. Polls close out in Washington at 11, and I'm definitely not going to wait for that. We'll wait until 9 to see what happens in some of these races, but it looks like they're very slowly reporting. I don't know what's taking them so long. Okay, we have some vote from the District 1, but it's 51 to 49. 1% of the vote is in. Um okay. Michigan Republican, we don't have a lot of votes. We just don't. I honestly, I'm curious in what some of the other people are talking about right now. Because I'm getting increasingly frustrated at how slow the vote counting process is. Like, it's ridiculous. We're still at 2% on the Democratic primary side. It's actually ridiculous. Like, I understand the fact that, some of these primaries can take a long time to count these votes, but I think that 2% still just grossly, the vote count is just grossly slow. At least we should be at like 20% in by now and not 2%. Even Michigan's doing a good job, and Michigan's pretty infamous for counting the votes pretty slow. I think they can call it for Lisa Slotkin. I also think they could call it for Mike Rogers at this point. There's no point to wait for more votes. Okay, so what district is this? There's an open seat here, but only Oakland is in, and Macomb is not. Yeah, this is John James district. Missouri. I want to see if there's any political news on New York Times that's worth following. Nothing I see that's interesting. Again, if you're still here, please consider subscribing because you've probably been watching for a long time by now. And I ask you to please subscribe. Thank you so much. Anyways, it's taking them. Yeah, okay. Lucas Coons, he won the Democratic primary. So if Lucas Coons got called, why are they not calling Michigan? Because Missouri's only 2% in. Like, I really just don't understand why aren't they calling Michigan? Because it seems pretty evident that Mike Rogers and Elisa Slotkin are gonna win. Yeah, it's taking them absolutely forever. Okay, they've got a little bit more coming in. Ottawa County right now is coming for Sherry O'Donnell. She's in a distant third right now. That's interesting. So Ottawa is 2% in the Republican primary side. Very competitive though. Mike Rogers, however, is behind. Um okay. We see a little bit here. Missouri second though, as of the votes that have been counted right now, it looks like Ann Wagner may be in a relatively competitive primary. I guess that's not something that is particularly surprising because she had what? I'm gonna check 2022 in Missouri. Yeah, Ann Wagner only got about 67% of the vote when she faced three primary opponents. This time around, though, she only has one, but right now that primary opponent is at 37% of the vote, which is honestly a pretty substantial and noticeable share of that vote. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so more vote has been coming in. It looks like Mike Keel is probably going to win this race. Okay, we have a bit more. Boone County's coming in, Callaway County's coming in, Cole County's coming in. But what's happening in St. Louis County and St. Louis City? Like, I don't get it. I'm just waiting for Cory Bush's race, and they're just not reporting. But Missouri's kind of, Missouri's getting their things together and starting to get a few votes in. Okay, so hi, please excuse my ignorance. I'm writing this from UK. Does these results count towards November 5th? Okay, so I'm just gonna explain the process for you, right? A primary election is an election in which voters are deciding. We're gonna decide essentially who ends up going on the ballot for November. A primary election is an election that determines who goes in the November general election. Essentially, whoever wins the primary will be the presumptive candidates for both sides, ignoring the possibility that someone ends up dropping out in a race. So, for example, let's say that Lucas Coons has won his Democratic primary. That means he will be the Democratic candidate for Missouri U.S. Senate. That's what it means. Okay, let's continue. Um, again, why is it taking them so long? Like, I'm genuinely quite confused. Why is it taking so long? Also, if you look at some of the maps here, for example, on the governor's race, you see that all these counties have reported something. And when we go to the attorney general's race, what we see is that, for example, Boone County has nothing in. Well, in the U.S. Senate, in the U.S. governor's race, they're at 15% reported. It looks like John Ashcroft was actually polling in first in some of the polls. Right now, he's at a distant third right now. But I guess St. Louis City and St. Louis County might favor him in terms of their votes reported. I don't know though. I'm just waiting for St. Louis so that we get some clarity for District 1. Perfect. Thanks. You're welcome. Okay. Okay, we've seen some race calls here, finally. Mike Rogers, Elisa Slotkin, they're now the presumptive Democratic nominees and Republican nominee for Michigan Senate. So now I can officially start kind of ignoring this race. Slotkin's at essentially a 3-1 margin. Rogers is also up by 57 points. So these races have slightly tightened between Slotkin and also Rogers, but it looks like they're definitely going to win. So the first congressional district, Jack Birchman ahead. Anyhow, so Missouri. Andrew Bailey, the Republican incumbent who sued New York State over its criminal prosecution of Donald J. Trump, is being challenged by Will Scharf, a lawyer for Trump and Federalist Society member who has the support of Lionel Leo, the influential conservative activist who has been instrumental in pushing for federal judiciary to the right. Mr. Trump has endorsed both candidates. It's interesting how Andrew Bailey, someone who sued New York City for and New York State for suing the former president, he actually got someone who's a challenger who's essentially endorsed by President Trump. Okay. We're just gonna check all these results. Okay, we have some calls so far. The second district called on the Republicans side for Derek Schmidt, not the Derek Schmidt that's in the U.S. Senate, of course. Okay, so they finally called the races that are uncontested. Great. Missouri. Yeah, we have like absolutely nothing coming in, which is great. Looks like Mike Keogh is probably going to win. Increased police funding. We have some counties coming in. It looks like yes is probably going to win when all is said and done, but we'll see. I guess most of the action now shifts back to Missouri because they're the only state right now with really competitive uncalled races. We're going to see. So, for the Republican primary, Texas County, interesting name. Okay. Mm. Okay, so interesting. It's a 25% difference, but Andrew Bailey's winning every single county so far. The most competitive race by far right now is the lieutenant governor on the Republican primary side. I mean, if there's not much results in like the next 10 minutes, I'm just gonna end the stream because there's no point to continue. I'm really just waiting for St. Louis to report the votes to see if Cory Bush gets primaried. Oh, we have some of the votes from District 1. Okay, Wesley Bell, the challenger right now, funded by many people from Israel, like the people who support Israel. Cory Bush is currently behind him by nearly 16, by more than 16%. Okay, okay, this is huge. Wesley Bell's up by 30 points. This is huge. Cory Bush is gonna lose. Like this is a 2-1 margin right now. Huge difference. It looks like Cory Bush is gonna be gone. Looks like that. Looks like that. Right? Because St. Louis City is like one of the most liberal one of the most progressive areas of this district. Right now, although we don't really know what type of vote is coming in, Bush is behind by 30 points district wide. Essentially, if you don't know, Wesley Bell is Cory Bush is the incumbent. She was someone who actually primaried out a guy who had a 50-year history in this district. His father had served in this district, and then he ended up retaining that seat as a relatively more established Unitarian Democrat. He got primaried out by Cory Bush, who 4 years later looks like she's also on track to lose her primary because she's someone of the left wing squad. If you don't know this history of the left wing squad, well, this is a good illustration of that. Just a few weeks ago, George Latimer, a more moderate guy, defeated Jamal Bowman, a member of the left wing squad who's like very pro Bernie Sanders, who's also vehemently pro Palestine. Cory Bush is also someone who has been vehemently pro Palestine, someone who's very, very progressive, someone who's drawn the attention of many pro Israel groups who have tried to primary her out. Right now, she's down by 30%. Now, the Republican primary is relatively insignificant because, again, right, this is not much. Okay. Hi. Yeah, we're just watching the first district right now. This is probably the most significant thing right now. Looks like Cory Bush is gonna lose. Cory Bush, the progressive left wing squad member, right now on track to lose to Wesley Bell with a 30 point gap with 18% of the vote in. That's huge. That's huge. Okay. Okay, wait. Did we have more vote? No, I think there's a lag. Yeah. Again, any questions, pop it in the chat. I'm more than happy to answer them. I want to wait for more vote, but it's probably gonna take like forever. Why is there no vote from the Republican primary in St. Louis? Okay, St. Louis. I'm waiting for St. Louis to come in for the Republican primary for governor because because that's gonna be interesting. I just joined. What's the most competitive race here? Okay, so there's a couple of noticeable races. In terms of the most competitive race, it's the lieutenant governor's race in the state of Missouri, where we see that the Republicans they have quite a few candidates in this race. I believe there's like there's 6 candidates in this race. It's a race that's certainly going to be interesting. Where Lincoln Ho is someone who's probably going to win most of the rural areas, and David Washington, he's someone who's probably going to win the St. Louis area as well as the Kansas City area. This is a race that will be extremely competitive and interesting to watch. In terms of the Republican primary here, um, this is also a pretty interesting race. Andrew Bailey, the Republican incumbent, he is currently, you know, I'm just going to pin the comment. So essentially, this race here, Andrew Bailey, Both Andrew Bailey and Will Sharf are endorsed by former President Trump. He co-endorsed both of them. He probably wants Will Sharf to win, but Bailey is the incumbent. He does look favored right now. And then also the Republican primary for governor. This is probably one of the most significant and consequential races here. All three of these top candidates, Bill Keyhole, Mike Kehoe, Bill Engel, and John Ashcroft. They're all co-endorsed by former President Trump in this election, but it looks like Mike Kehoe is probably going to end up winning. Now, additionally, one of the most I'd say the most consequential race right now on the map is Missouri's first congressional district, where incumbent Democrat Cori Bush is down against a challenger, Wesley Bell. Cori Bush is a firm advocate and supporter of Palestine, while Wesley Bell is a progressive who's relatively progressive but more pro-Israel, who is funded by many Israeli lobbyist groups right now. And those are kind of like the most significant rundowns of the races. We have the Michigan primaries. Both the Democratic primary and the Republican primary has already been called. Does that answer your questions? I hope so. Okay. So I'm just gonna. All right. So no worry, Wally Bolly will be glad to teach. What? What is that? I guess comments like this is why I should just filter it by top chat and not all chat. Okay. Okay. Um yeah, the most consequential race I would say right now is the race. Okay. St. Louis County. I would say the most significant race is District 1, but it looks like Cori Bush is probably going to lose right now. I'm interested to wait for more votes to come in. I don't really feel like streaming this because the vote count has been very gradual. It's not been have not been tabulated very quickly. Viewership is also kind of down because people don't really feel like watching a race when none of the votes are coming in. Um, let's see. Michigan. Oops. And this race is probably one of the more interesting ones to watch. Double Trump endorsement. This race is triple Trump endorsement. It looks like Mike Kehoe and the incumbent Andrew Bailey are going to win. That's probably what's going to happen. Okay. Really, there's nothing much to talk about here. It still looks like that Sherry O'Donnell is leading in Ottawa County, but again, only 2% is in there. That's probably her home county. Okay, Washington, Maria Catwell, Republican primary. I honestly thought that John Ashcroft would be leading in St. Louis County, but that looks like it's not going to happen. Yeah, this is going to be a big blow to the Democratic progressive squad if Cory Bush gets unseated, which looks like it's going to happen. Just gonna wait for other ones. Okay, let's check on this race. It looks like Ann Wagner's doing a bit better now with a little bit more of the vote counted. Yeah, it looks like Wagner's gonna hold on. I don't think there's anything overly significant to analyze now. Increased police funding for Kansas City. Now, this one's interesting. It's definitely going to be closer to 50-50. Okay, what just came in? Buchanan just came in? Yeah. What's the other one? Exempt child care facility property tax. Looks like no is probably going to win. The only, what? The only 5% of the vote is in. I might just end the stream in like 5 minutes because it looks like that the vote counting is really slow right now. I'm just trying to check different sources, and it looks like the vote counting it's not going to speed up anytime soon. And I might just end up ending the stream in like a minute or two. There's really no point to continue streaming when we have like absolutely no results. I mean, we have some results, but it's taking forever. But based on what I think right now, in terms of my prediction for how these races are going to unfold, I think that District 1 will probably go for Wesley Bell, just because with 18% of the vote in, Cori Bush, the incumbent, is down nearly 2-1. I think right now Andrew Bailey is going to win because Will Sharf is not even leading in a single county, though he's at a strong 37.7% of the vote. We go to the Republican primary here. I think Lakewood Holt, the second place candidate, will probably win just because he has a lot of appeal. It looks like in some of the more rural areas we see in like Cooper County and Boone County and Callaway County, right? These relatively more rural areas. It looks like that he has more appeal there. And it seems like that he'll probably end up winning the statewide election, though it will be very close. I think that Mike Keogh is probably going to win because he is up right now 12% over Bill Engel. And John Ashcroft is doing quite poorly compared to what some of the polls had predicted. Um, and there's really nothing more. In terms of Washington, I think Maria Catwell definitely wins. And Ron Garcia will probably end up being the Republican. We go to Governor Bob Ferguson, probably going to win. He might end up going against David Richert, it looks like. And the Attorney General, you're going to see one of the Democrats go against Pete Rosado, and then Danny Heck probably going to go against Patrick Harmon, as it looks like right now. Okay. I'm going to end the stream in 2 minutes if we don't have any more results. Yeah, it looks like, it looks like a smart decision to end the stream because we literally have absolutely no votes coming in. I'm here to analyze the vote totals, but if no votes end up getting reported, then my analysis is in vain. Also, before we end up ending the stream, again, I would like to thank all of you for subscribing to my YouTube channel. It really means a lot to me. All of you who watch my streams, all of you who watch my videos. Additionally, I would like to give a special shout out to my 5 members who have joined my channel memberships. Thank you so much for supporting my channel financially, especially because, you could have simply just watched all the videos for free. Thank you all so much. Greatly appreciate it. And with that, I'm gonna end the stream now. Assuming nothing changes, I'm gonna just take one last glance here. Andrew Bailey still holding on. Uh, what about Corey Bush? Yeah, it's the same totals. Thank you for watching today's stream. Thank you all so much. Goodbye. End stream.